Hello, garden lovers, and welcome to Marvin's Garden, April 2020. And it feels like April today, but I'll tell you what, March felt more like April, and April has felt more like March, just because April has been wet and cold and a little bit on the ugly side. But here we are, and today it's a lovely day. We are in the 60s. I've got my studio music playing, so I don't get any copyright infringement notices from YouTube. And things are happening out here so much more than they were in March. Since we're right here, we'll start with the herb bed. Garlic chives or Asian leeks are coming in like they've never come in before. Very nice. And Coco the rooster is keeping a good eye on them. This rosemary plant is one that we wintered over inside and transplanted it out here. It's looking very fine. There's not much else going on in here except for chives, which is where we used to start in the old garden, even though we've moved things around. And they're coming in, much to my delight. And but let's go over here to bed number 1, and that's where we'll officially start. And what we got going on here is it's hard to see, but there's a row of radishes that are planted from seed and up. There's also 2 rows of carrots, and I don't think any of those guys are coming up yet. But we do have brassicas that were started from seed inside and have been transplanted out here and are doing quite well. And then we do have the French ballerina weeding, which is what she does magnificently, and she's what you'd call an essential worker out here in the garden for sure. Anyway, these are the brassicas. I won't try to identify each variety separately. The rest of bed 1 is kind of vacant. I will show you that unfortunately, we're back to the disgustingly wet exterior here in the garden. April has just been a wet piece of junk, if you don't mind me saying so. Here's the old compost heap and my shadow. Just getting started for this year, of course, because we took everything from last year and put it out in the beds. Now, the grow house here is going to be for pumpkins. I still have to go in there and pull out those weeds, or what amounts to weeds. And I also have to, let me see if I can show you this. You might be able to see that because that looks clear, it's because there's literally no more material in between those squares. So I have to go in here and put some kind of plastic over the top to block the bugs, and then I also have to add a a screen door to the top of this. So I've got a lot to do out here before that's ready for the pumpkins. But let's look here on bed number, 1, 2, and Vanina and I have planted all the onions, and at this time of the year they don't look like much of anything, but they've all pretty much survived. We also planted a band of scallions or bunching onions. They also seem to be surviving, but it won't be for another month or so that those really take off and look like what we like them to look like. Now, oh, there's my shadow again. Hi, everybody! Okay, shut up, Marvin. This bed is pretty much blank except for this very end. And we've got some lettuce here. I think this variety is called Nancy. And then if you look very closely down here, you can see a couple of rows of spinach that are coming in okay. Nothing else is happening in this bed. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this one's called. However, I will note that it looks like the bee balm is starting to come up on the end of this bed. Now, if you remember bed number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we planted garlic in December, I think, and the garlic is looking really fine. Nothing else is planted in this bed. In fact, I'm not really sure what I'm going to plant in this bed yet, but something, I guess, hopefully. All right, I'm opening the gate here to go back and look at our asparagus bed. Oh, Frankie wants to come, but he can't. Anyway, let's take a stroll back here. This is the asparagus bed. We've done some serious weeding, and I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can probably see there's a couple of asparagus shoots up there, and if you look in the distance, you'll see a fair amount of them actually coming up. Now, some of them came up, and we had some frost, which I didn't think asparagus cared about, but it looks like they did care about them because they kind of shriveled up and fell over. So, but it looks like we've got quite a few shoots coming up. In fact, I'm probably due to go in there and do a little harvesting. We already did half a dozen, I guess, and they were delicious. Now, this is, it's a pretty picture, but it's standing water, and it's because we've had no shortage of rain this April. So, let's see. I guess we'll go back here, and maybe I'll speed things up so you don't have to watch all this stuff. Now there's Frankie. He's liking it out here, and we are all liking it out here, actually, because it's in the 60s, it's sunny, and it's been absolutely delightful out here. This is Coco the rooster. He's watching over the garlic chives, which have really come in like gangbusters this year. I mean, we've grown them here for a couple of years, but this is the first time they've come in of that size. Just amazing. And let's take a look in the greenhouse, the mini greenhouse. Couple things. Number one, the temperature in here is reading 69.1, I guess, close to 70 degrees. We've put down some pavers in the middle here. I don't know if we showed you the last time that we brought some wicker furniture out here, but we also have lots of seedlings out here. I think those are eggplant, peppers, tomatoes, some of which are huge and some of which are teeny. This is all peanuts, and I'll tell you something about the peanuts. These are last year's peanut seeds that I didn't use, but as you can see, they're germinating quite well, so we're going to have a good couple of rows of them. And then this whole tray here was supposed to be pond irises, but we got very spotty germination, so remains to be seen how we'll do with that stuff. This is I think mostly eggplant, and back in there the little ones are ground cherries, and then that's a variety of sunflower, which are long overdue to get in the ground. Then these are two more rosemary plants that we overwintered inside, and these pots, what's growing is weeds, but we're hoping to get some oak trees out of that, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, these trays are different kinds of peppers, and we've got some actual pansies in the front there, and these are spices. We've got thyme, sage, basil, and parsley back there, and then we've got a few more pots which we are hoping will come up with oak trees, but all that's growing right now are the weeds. Oh, hi guys. Everybody wanted to come in and see what we were doing. This is Jolie and Cassie. But there's not much left to show you, but I will. In the garden proper, I think I've showed you everything, but I'll try to sneak out here without without letting dogs come out, which will not be easy. No, you stay here. Stay here. Stay here. You stay here, Cassie. Stay here. All right, it's still on me. All right, so let me show you the pond, which looks, I guess, kind of typical for April, which is murky at best. You can see that the greenery is coming back that Vanina planted. You can see some of our other perennials, like this grass, is coming back, and even this floater, which has a couple of perennials in it, is coming back. But the water itself, you can see, looks extremely murky, and fish are down there, and they're doing fine, but they've looked better. Other than that, if we come over to, there's the swing, which we have used already. Lovely day today, by the way. The peach tree is past its bloom peak. Again, we're hopeful that we might get something. The nectarine tree is still got quite a few nice blooms on it, and again, we're just hoping we might get a nectarine or two out of that. And then there's the pear tree, which is in full bloom at this point. I still need to prune it a little bit because I got all those straight vertical suckers up there. And if I can manage to speak over the audio, I'll show you that we do actually have some asparagus down here off the deck, which is the oldest asparagus bed we have. And we'll be pulling those when we get a chance. All right, so let's just walk back to the garden, see what's going on here. Whoops. What happens when you have some vodka before you do the garden video is that you can't remember which side of the gate the latch is on. In this case, it's on this side. All right, so I'm rambling. Who you have here is Frankie and Jolie. Cassie is, oh, she thinks we're going inside, but we're not. And I would be remiss if I didn't include the gardening queen, Vanina, the French ballerina. She's doing what she does better than anyone else in the world, and that's taking care of the weeds. And luckily she's allowed to have a little sip of wine while she's doing that. So that's pretty much going to do it. Let me just walk over here to the pet memorial area, which doesn't look like much. Isn't that disgusting? All that water. Anyway, here's the pet memorial area. It's a little overrun with grass, but we've also got some of the perennial flowers coming up, so that's good news. So I guess what you could say is that's pretty much going to do it for this edition for Marvin Gardens, April 2020, and we'll see you next month in Marvin Gardens, May. And May, as you may recall, is the busiest time in the garden and all around Sky Manor. But at least today, April feels like April, so that's a good deal. And we'll see you next month in May. Bye, y'all. Hope you're having a great spring to start off with.